I absolutely loved the new live-action Moana movie. But for those who are fans of the Motunui Princess franchise, it's practically impossible not to notice so many Easter eggs, differences, and hidden details in the film. For example, in the musical scene where Maui sings and recounts his heroic deeds, we can notice that it is quite different from the exact same scene in the animation, since it includes giant spinning stones creating moving drawings, which doesn't happen in the 2016 movie. And if you look closely, you'll realize that for a brief moment, we can see a moving drawing of Heihei himself on one of the troublemaking demigod's stones. Now tell me, did you catch the literally dirty joke that happens in the scene right after this one? If you didn't catch it, we're going to explain it to you right now. Right after trapping Moana in the cave, the demigod's tattoo, which has more of a conscience than he does, starts calling his attention to the fact that he's leaving Moana behind. Maui then tells the tattoo's mini Maui that he should shut his mouth, or else he'll be trapped forever in a dark cave too. So he gives the tattoo a flick, and it ends up exactly on Maui's backside. So that was the dark and probably dirty cave that he said he was going to put the tattoo in. Get it? Seriously, I was shocked when I realized this double entendre joke in a Disney movie. Get ready because we are just getting started, and today we are going to blow your mind with the 15 hidden details you probably missed in the Moana live action. Now, talking about the Kakamora, who are some of my favorite characters from the 2016 movie, we can notice a few interesting points about the pygmies. For example, while in the animation, they basically use the coconuts as a full outfit, leaving only their legs and arms on the outside. In the live-action movie, their adapted version turned out somewhat different. That's because in the case of the 2026 movie, the coconuts are only used on their heads, pretty much like decorative masks, and on their bodies, they wear an outfit made of dry straw. Still in the scene with the pirate pygmies, the CGI animators of the live-action movie added a very funny detail that wasn't in the original film. When the Kakamora, who manages to grab Heihei and the heart of Te Fiti, returns to the pirate's mothership, the other pygmies are celebrating a lot. So much so that one of them simply plummets from way up high, probably falling into the water. You can even hear his little scream as he falls if you pay close attention. So, had you noticed that when you watched the movie? Moana and Maui then go to the island that gives access to the realm of monsters. Unlike the animation where they need to climb to the top of the island's mountain, in the live-action movie, the entrance is right in the middle of the vegetation, at the very bottom part of the island.
And when the demigod activates the entrance, we can see the Moai-style face that appears. And if you compare it to the one from the 2016 animated film, you'll realize that the one in the new feature film is actually way scarier. You can see, for instance, the sharp teeth on the image, and the evil eyes on the image from the movie. Way more sinister than the first version, that's a fact. Furthermore, if you look at the upper part of the entrance, you will notice that it has a huge crack above the left eye that didn't exist in the original version. Once inside the realm of monsters, the unlikely duo puts their plan to recover Maui's fishhook into practice, and Moana serves as bait for Tamatoa. So far, so good. However, when the giant crab wakes up, we can notice something quite peculiar. If you look closely, you'll realize that in the live-action version, the villain has one eye of each different color, with the left one being blue and the right one being yellow. Not to mention that his teeth are less realistic and without stones, unlike the animated version of the villain. Which makes Tamatoa look more like real crabs. After all, crustaceans don't actually have teeth, do they? At the moment of the second fight against Te Kā, we see that some things between the two versions of the Moana movies turned out somewhat different, and practically all of them are related to Maui's transformations during the battle. In the animation, he first turns into a beetle to then become a whale and splash a lot of water on Te Kā. Right after that, he transforms into a lizard,
and starts running over the villain's body. But in the live action, the sequence and even the transformed animals are different. First, Maui transforms into a whale, and he does that typical movement of the largest mammals in the world, also splashing water on Te Kā. Only after that does he transform into a beetle, and when he goes to run across the lava demon's body, he transforms into a wild boar, running the risk of turning into bacon.
If you made it this far, do the following. Click the subscribe button. I think we deserve it.
Another interesting detail is related once again to Hei Hei. In the 2016 animation, when Moana finally reaches the island where Maui is stranded, she and the rooster hide upon seeing the demigod's shadow. And then the thief of the heart of Te Fiti lifts the boat, but immediately after gets spooked upon seeing the girl and drops it exactly on top of Hei Hei. I remember I laughed a lot at this scene and kept wondering how the crazy rooster survived that blow to the head. But if we think about the fact that it's empty, it makes sense that he stayed exactly the same. However, the live-action scene is different, since shortly before Maui appears, Hei Hei holds onto one of the ropes with his beak. And when the demigod lifts the boat, the mentally challenged rooster is launched by the momentum straight up into the sky. I have to admit that despite being different, I like the live-action version better, because I laughed quite a bit when it happened. Right off the bat, right at the beginning of the movie, you could notice a very interesting difference between the new film and the original animation in the moment when Maui is stealing the heart of Te Fiti, which kicks off the whole plot of the story.
In this new 2026 movie, we can see that Maui's character design is much more faithful to the clothing of Polynesian warriors, since we can see him wearing even battle shoulder pads, which is quite different from his version in the animation, where he only uses his tattoos as quote-unquote clothing on the upper part of his body. Furthermore, when Maui encounters Te Kā while flying as a hawk in the sky and carrying the heart of Te Fiti in his claws, in the original animated version, he even leaves the island as a hawk, but right after he lands on his wooden boat and opens his hand to admire the item he had just stolen. Then, only after that, does Te Kā appear and knock out the demigod of the magical fishhook. This probably happened because it would be cheaper to make a single CGI scene of the hawk flying, rather than two. Another detail that is at the same time a difference we can spot between the two feature films of the same Disney protagonist can be noticed when the scene shows Grandma Tala telling the story of how Maui's reckless act ended up creating Te Kā, destabilizing the entire world and interrupting life. At that moment, we can see the children listening to the story, and among them is our Princess Moana. And that's exactly where we notice something that doesn't change anything in the story, but catches our attention. The little Moana in the movie is much bigger and older than the baby Moana we see in the animation. Had you noticed that? Then right after, who shows up? The little Hei Hei pecking around among the children who are with Moana listening to the story, with that old sincere face of someone who doesn't understand anything that's going on, because he really wasn't. In the animation, however, Hei Hei's appearance only happens after all this, when Moana's dad starts singing a song, and he emerges in a single file line of roosters with a piece of coconut on his head, and then immediately trips. I actually kind of like this earlier appearance of the nutty rooster in the movie, since he is one of my favorite characters. And right after, the cuckoo rooster is simply the one responsible for revealing the tapestry pieces with the monster drawings, when he accidentally pulls the rope while trying to peck a butterfly, whereas in the animation, the clumsy one who ends up scaring the children with those strange images is the village chief himself, Moana's dad. Now, talking about a really cool detail, which shows Disney's level of perfectionism, we can note that the wood of the hut Moana is in has carvings and drawings that are simply identical to the wood of the exact same location that also exists in the animation. After the island of Motunui starts being hit little by the curse due to the absence of the heart of Te Fiti, and consequently by the end of life, Moana makes her first attempt to go beyond the reefs to try and find a solution to her people's problems. And it's at that moment that the ocean waves end up destroying her wooden boat, and she ends up getting her foot stuck in a reef, almost losing her life in the process, being saved thanks to the fact that she herself grabs a rock and manages to break the reef that was trapping her foot underwater. In the live-action movie, however,
things are exactly the same, up until the moment the boat is completely destroyed. But then the situations start to get different. That's because instead of the Motunui princess trapping one of her feet in the reef, actually, her foot is tangled in one of the ropes of the boat that ended up destroyed, also trapping her underwater. And just like in the animation, she ends up saving herself on her own, except this time by managing to free herself from the ropes.
If you want more videos like this, comment down below, #more. We're leaving 2 really cool videos for you to stay with us here on the channel. Click and have fun. Thanks!